China's DeepSeek has unveiled the latest versions of its signature artificial intelligence-powered chatbot, a year after its flagship model sent shockwaves through the global tech scene. The Chinese startup launched preview versions of DeepSeek V4 Pro and DeepSeek V4 Flash on Friday, as it touted its ability to go toe-to-toe with US rivals such as OpenAI and Google.
And the Sindh government has declared May 1, 2026, a public holiday across the province on the occasion of Labour Day. According to a notification issued by the Services, General Administration and Coordination Department, SGA and CD, the holiday will be observed on Friday in all government offices, autonomous and semi-autonomous bodies, corporations and local councils under the administrative control of the provincial government. And Pakistan has completed the repayment of $3.45 billion in deposits to the United Arab Emirates after the State Bank of Pakistan, SBP, confirmed today that another $1 billion had been disbursed on April 23, 2026. According to the central bank, the latest payment was made to the Abu Dhabi Fund for Development, ADFD, following the maturity of deposits previously placed with the SBP. And MCB Bank Limited reported financial results for the quarter ended March 31, 2026, posting a profit after tax of $12.8 billion and announcing a first interim cash dividend of 9.4 per share, equivalent to a 90% payout. In a statement issued on April 23, the bank said its board of directors, chaired by Mian Mohammed Mansha, reviewed and approved the financial results for the first quarter of 2026. And for much of its existence, Islamabad has had the pride of place for Pakistan's rulers precisely because it is not the typical third world megacity, sleepy green and as elitist as it comes, and the Islamabad that will come into being in the not too distant future threatens to be even more elitist, restless and disastrously grey. The word is that the new capital is going to resemble a mix of Manhattan and Shanghai, and even while it retains the scenic splendour of the Margalla Hills. But will there even be any Margalla Hills to speak of after they have been subjected to the current regime's delusions of grandeur?
That Islamabad. The government on Thursday constituted 10-member board of directors of Sukkur Electric Power Company. SEPCO is required under the state-owned entities law. According to a notification, Ghulam Mustafa Legari will act as chairman of the board, while private members include Faraz Sheikh, Sanam Inam Sheikh, Imran Hussain and Naween Mangi. Majority of them are close relatives of political bigwigs, including sitting or former senators.
And pro-show stealing dynamic between the protagonists and nurse Kefin Ojunga said she has seen a lot after nearly 3 decades of working in reproductive health care in Kenya's Kilifi County on the East African country's coast. But things got markedly worse for women there in the past year amid sweeping cuts to US aid programs. Throughout developing parts of Africa, US funding once provided free birth control and maternity checkups and other reproductive health care via mobile medical clinics, services that abruptly vanished as the Trump administration dismantled the US Agency for International Development, USAID, and slashed funding for family planning. And Porsche will start selling an all-electric Cayenne coupe in late summer, the latest signal from the German automaker that it still sees market demand for EVs. The Cayenne Coupe EV, which has 4 doors, unlike a traditional coupe, will join several other all-electric variants of the SUV when it comes to market later this year, including the base Cayenne Electric, Cayenne S Electric, and Cayenne Turbo Electric. Porsche does, after all, love its variants.
That. A recent survey by Kaspersky titled Cybersecurity in the Workplace. Employee knowledge and behavior has identified major weaknesses in how organizations in Pakistan handle cybersecurity policies and employee compliance. The findings show that 39% of professionals believe their company's cybersecurity rules are excessive or not fully suitable, while 8% said their organizations either lack such rules or they are unaware of them.
And Israel and Lebanon extended a shaky ceasefire by 3 weeks. President Donald Trump said on Thursday, as the United States remained at a standstill in negotiations with Iran to end the Middle East war. Trump announced the truce extension as he met with ambassadors of the two countries, and despite recent Israeli strikes in Lebanon and fresh rocket fire from Hezbollah, which was not part of the talks in Washington. And a US soldier faces charges for using classified information to bet on online prediction markets related to the US operation to capture former Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro, the Department of Justice said Thursday. And US Army soldier Gannon Ken Van Dyke, 38, of Fayetteville, North Carolina, allegedly made over $400 and by using the online platform Polymarket to bet on outcomes related to US forces arriving in Venezuela's capital, Caracas, and deposing Maduro, an operation he helped plan and execute, according to justice officials. And among the many developments this month that Pakistanis can take pride in is the news that one of their own will soon be heading to space. Two candidates, Zishan Ali and Khurram Daud, and have been selected for China's manned space program after clearing multiple rounds of selection procedures. They will be traveling to that country soon to start training, and one will eventually join a Chinese flight mission as a payload specialist and become the first foreign astronaut to board China's space station. The news has been celebrated in Pakistan, but China too seems equally excited about it, and the China Manned Space Agency has described it as a landmark event in the history of China's space industry and has cited the Pakistani candidate's participation in its program as an example of Beijing's willingness to share its space development achievements with the international community. And both Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif and China's ambassador to Pakistan, Jiang Zidong, feted the two candidates at PMO on Thursday.
That Quetta. Balochistan Chief Minister Sarfraz Bugti has inaugurated the province's first research centre aimed at countering rising extremism in the province. The inauguration ceremony of Balochistan Centre of Excellence on Countering Violent Extremism was attended by Home Minister Mirzia Langovi, members of the Provincial Assembly, government officials and representatives of relevant institutions.
And KH Uzdar. 4 people were injured when unidentified motorcyclists hurled a hand grenade at a shop in Kalat, police said on Thursday. According to police, the incident occurred late on Wednesday night in Kili Pandrani, where unknown assailants riding a motorcycle threw a hand grenade at a shop. The grenade exploded with a loud blast, injuring 4 individuals.
That Beirut calls action a war crime, vows to seek international justice. Rights groups demand accountability, say intentional targeting of civilians is illegal. Attack overshadows new round of negotiations, Beirut 2. Lebanese leaders on Thursday condemned Israeli war crimes after an airstrike killed a journalist in the country's south, an attack that caused an uproar as it coincided with a new round of ceasefire talks between the two nations in Washington.
And judges at the International Criminal Court on Thursday confirmed charges of crimes against humanity against former Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte for deadly anti-drug crackdowns he allegedly oversaw while in office. A 3-judge panel found unanimously there were substantial grounds to believe the ex-leader was responsible for dozens of murders, first as mayor of the southern Philippine city of Davao and later when he was president. And a US Special Forces soldier involved in the military operation that captured Nicolas Maduro has been arrested after he allegedly bet on the removal of Venezuela's former leader before the information was publicly available. The US Department of Justice, DOJ, has charged Gannon Ken Van Dyke after he allegedly made trades on Polymarket, a crypto-powered platform, on the basis of classified information. And Meta will cut thousands of jobs next month as it spends more than ever on artificial intelligence AI projects. The company told employees in a memo on Thursday that it planned to cut 10% of its workforce, roughly 8,000 staff. It said it would also not fill thousands more open jobs it had been hiring for. And The United States Department of Justice has filed criminal charges against an active duty soldier for placing a bet on the abduction of Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro using classified military information for personal profit. On Thursday, prosecutors accused Gannon Ken Van Dyke, 38, of cashing in on the operation against Maduro to the tune of more than $400,000. And 3 professors at Atlanta's Emory University in the United States have filed a lawsuit over their arrests during a 2024 campus protest over Israel's genocidal war on Gaza. Their lawsuit on Thursday argued that the university broke its own free speech policies when it called in police and state troopers to aggressively disband the protest, making 28 arrests. And a special forces soldier involved in the operation that captured Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro has been indicted by the US Justice Department. His alleged crime and making numerous bets on the prediction market, Polymarket, that Maduro would be removed from power, for which he is said to have made upwards of $400,000. Authorities claim Gannon Ken Van Dyke, and who was involved in the planning and execution of Operation Absolute Resolve. The stratagem that toppled and captured the Venezuelan leader made bets on Polymarket about whether the US would deploy forces into Venezuela and remove Maduro from power. And Meta is laying off about 8,000 workers, or about 10% of its workforce, the company has said, as it continues to ramp up spending on artificial intelligence infrastructure and highly paid AI expert hires. On Thursday, the company said it was making the cuts for the sake of efficiency and to allow new investments in parts of its business, as first reported by Bloomberg, which also said the company will leave about 6,000 jobs unfilled. And Redwood Materials Chief Operating Officer Chris Lister is leaving the battery recycling company to retire, TechCrunch has learned. And he's not the only executive that recently departed. Lister, and a former vice president who led operations at Tesla's Nevada Gigafactory, has been with Redwood since late 2023. He started as the company's chief supply chain officer and was quickly promoted to the COO role in 2024. And the promotion put him closer in the org chart to Redwood founder and CEO J.B. Straubel, who was Tesla's longtime chief technology officer and currently sits on the automaker's board.
That the US says its forces have boarded a sanctioned ship carrying Iranian oil in the Indian Ocean in the country's latest naval move against Iran. The US Department of Defense, DoD, said in a statement it had carried out a maritime interdiction, the interception or inspection of a vessel by a Navy on ships suspected to be hostile or in violation of the law on the MT Majestic X.
And geopolitical conflicts, including the United States and Israel's war on Iran and the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, have fueled surging demand for US defense companies as the Pentagon races to replenish weapon and aircraft stockpiles. First quarter results posted this week from Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, RTX Corporation and Boeing saw limited growth as supply chain and production delays weighed on the industry. And Pope Leo has criticized the world's treatment of migrants and refugees, claiming that they are often viewed as worse than house pets or animals. Leo, who has previously attacked United States President Donald Trump's hardline immigration policies, called for better treatment of migrants as he flew back to Rome on Thursday following a 4-nation Africa tour. And the European Union has given final approval to a €90 billion 105 BN loan for Ukraine and a new round of sanctions on Russia in a boost for Kyiv after a prolonged row. The measures were signed off after Hungary and Slovakia dropped objections when Ukraine restarted oil flows following repairs to the damaged Druzhba pipeline. And the administration of Argentina's Javier Milei has restricted access to the presidential palace, the Casa Rosada, as part of an escalating feud with the country's journalists. Accredited journalists reportedly arrived at the Casa Rosada on Thursday and attempted to enter the building through fingerprint scanning, as they usually would.